Okay, welcome back to Budding Podcast in the episode of Driving Humanity Forward and the Green Paradox. This is our episode number 10, and the title is Sustainability and Technology. So today we have a very prominent guest speaker, Miss Richa, and she will introduce herself also after this. And we will be talking about sustainability and technology. Actually, what is technology contribution in sustainability? And for this conversation, it will be guided by Pak Kostup. So as usual, Pak Kostup, please start.
Thank you, Paika, and wish you a very good afternoon to you and good morning to Richa. It's really pleasure to have you here with us and having speak about a topic which is close to our hearts, the sustainability and technology. In today's episode, we are trying to dwell about, we would like to know more about you and what kind of technological companies are doing in this space in terms of sustainability. Usually, people feel that green paradox and it's related to only manufacturing or chemical industry and likewise, but the technology is a key differentiator and it is making a huge change. So that is something which we would like to understand from you. So without taking much of your time, I pass on the uh, mic to you and would like to know more about yourself and the companies like IBM doing in the technological space. Over to you, Richa.
Thank you. So good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Richa Goel. I'm the associate partner at IBM India, actually working out of India. And I lead the global sustainability practice for IBM, where the agenda basically is how technology per se can drive this good for humanity through sustainability. I think the only reason why we put together this practice in a technology oriented company is because we knew, we thought, we saw, we did what technology can basically bring to table when we talk about sustainability, really. And which is where I think technology, as we all say, is largely the backbone of what we are trying to achieve. And Kostab, as you mentioned, it is not limited to any particular sector, industry, etc. It's a global phenomena, and we think that technology can really make things fasten, if not, if nothing else, at least fasten the entire process. And we would want to really achieve the UN SDG goals that have been put together and our vision for all the countries to basically come together and make sustainability our voice for tomorrow and the actions we perform towards it. So it'll be a pleasure speaking to all of you today.
Indeed, Richa. So thank you for that wonderful explanation and the background and the context also what a company like IBM are doing. Would you maybe help us understand, let's say, like how have you created any community projects or any projects which have impacted the community at large and given them a sustainable nature or which has impacted the society at large?
Yeah, sure. I think let me give you a brief background about how sustainability or is important and how technology kind of overlays on top of it, and then maybe I will delve into some examples as to what IBM has done together. So in our world now, in the technology world, we always say sustainability is the new digital. And why do we say so? Because it actually brings together all the countries. Today, 130 plus countries have signed up for the UN goals towards sustainability. When we talk about our clients, 62% of the CXOs today across the globe are saying that if they want to stay abreast in the competitive world of today, sustainability has to be their top priority, right? And the best part is today 54% of the consumers are willing to pay more for sustainable products. Where have we seen this before? Nowhere. Which is why we all know and understand that sustainability is going to be the talk of the town. And the reason why I gave you these numbers was to just enunciate the fact that, when we do conversations, surveys across in the technological world, across global companies, sustainability happens to be the theme, and which is why digitization plays an important part when we talk about implementing sustainability, right? When we talk about countries, really, right? So European Union, European Green Deal, what we call it, they have pledged to invest 1/3 of their 1.8 trillion economy towards digital sustainability, right? About 2 trillion has been promised by Mr. Joe Biden, the US president, towards infrastructure and climate data. So, what it essentially means is that every country leader is basically wanting to make that happen, right? And how do we do that? Now, coming to the part of why we say technology is the heart of sustainability. See, if we look at sustainability, and this is how technology companies like ours have perceived sustainability, and this is the similar traction or handshake that we are receiving from our clients or the global companies across the world, whatever geography that we belong to. And when I'm going to talk about examples, I'm going to take examples which will cut across the world so that all of you can very much understand and relate to it. So essentially, when we look at sustainability or think about sustainability, we perceive it as a complex big data and analytics problem, right? All these words we've heard in the technology era, but essentially when you put it into perspective of sustainability, so when we talk about, say, climate risk, we talk about our journey to net zero, everything seems to be an analytical problem, which is to capture, measure, benchmark, and report. Essentially, these are the 4 pillars when we talk about sustainability in the entire paradigm. Correct? So we leverage multiple technologies when we talk about sustainability solutions. So I'll name the 5 top technologies which have been linked to the sustainability and green technology: the hybrid multi-cloud, AI, analytics, IoT, blockchain, and security. So if we bring all these technologies together, we've seen most, in fact, 98% of the sustainability solutions somewhere fall into these umbrella of technologies, right? How it helps. So how technology helps in generating insights which will result into intelligent processes. What really means is to apply insights to create sustainable processes with the help of the technologies that we talked about. Correct? And last but not the least are the resources. Every company has a set of resources which are essentially the driving forces. So when I'm talking about these technologies, simultaneously we are also building skills, learning, some learning courses, etc., for basically training our resources on what we call as ESG. So we have ESG consultants, we have ESG SMEs or the subject matter experts, which we are building in various industries, so that these are the people who can drive and actually deliver these conversations, bringing sustainability to life. So essentially, to summarize everything, I would say, which is why we say technology is the helm of sustainability. And the only thing that we need to do is act, co-create, right? Because it cannot be a one-way traffic. We have to come together to make it happen. Only then we will achieve. And we need to accelerate it in the best way possible. So this is how I would kind of position sustainability with technology. Kostab, was I able to bring some justice to the question that you asked?
So Rita, really interesting. While you are giving these many numbers and things which are happening around the globe, maybe just as an insight, if you can dwell upon any insights, let's say like an industry which you are referring, that could give the audience.
Sorry, I think connectivity issues with Costa, but I think I understood the question. Let me take some examples from across the globe to enunciate why I said that, the 5 technology areas that I talked about helped us and would help in actually responding to approximately 98% of the sustainability problems, right? So let me take an example of a Norwegian company. So sorry, I'm not going to take the names of the clients really, but my idea is just to share what we really did, right? So a Norwegian company which is more into crop yielding. So basically, from a technology standpoint, we created what we called a digital farming platform, okay, to solve world's two major problems: shortage of farmland and food wastage, right? So with these two problems being solved, our basic agenda was to transform a farmer's life, right? So with this platform that we built, it brought together the digital services and it provided instant ergonomic advice to farmers across the globe to avoid any sort of deforestation by increasing food production on the existing farmland. So we actually brought in the predictive technology on top of IoT data to help farmers, give them insights about how they need to plan, how they need to plow, plant, spray, and harvest. Right? With this kind of information, basically the farmers could grow more, they could get better yield, they could save money, and the most important thing is their way of life improved considerably. And within a span of not more than 2 years, we actually already have about 6 lakh farmers onboarded onto this platform, and we could actually save 7% of the land which actually would have gone under deforestation. So I think this says a lot about how this technology brought together a change in a farmer's life, right? So this is one example which I wanted to share. Another example which I will share is from Canada, and this is for bank. And of course, that this is to your point that it is not only manufacturing industry or any particular industry. So when we come to banks, so how important is climate risk to banks? I'm not sure how many of us even you think about it, that the the financial risk which is there as such a big element for any bank to survive, run, and function. We all invest our money in banks, we mortgage our properties to banks, but then how important does it get for a bank to basically safeguard them? Because that is where because we are trusting them and they have to live on to our trust. So this is where we actually built a financial platform which together with the climate risk platform, which what we call, actually gives us a perspective as to what are the potential risks in terms of weather change, any sort of earthquake or any sort of flood that is expected in the region where maybe the mortgage properties or maybe where the bank's branches. And if that bank actually gets to know this information prior, so obviously they can plan ahead, they can strategize their locations, they can take care of the mortgage properties in terms of either they take a better premium or they refuse to even take that property on mortgage, which is at a high risk from a natural calamity. So these things from a technology perspective have given a very new dimension. And how it helps sustainability, I think it is very clear that with this climate risk assessment, the banks, countries, communities are all able to save a lot of money, people's lives, and they are giving them a new perspective of how banks are basically acting as friends, if I were to say that, and you're telling the people that they can act better and they can be well informed as to what they are getting hit with. So I think that is another example which I wanted to share with you. The third example that I would want to share with you is uh, on the city, and I can talk about it, city of Copenhagen, honestly. And the reason why I wanted to share this example is this again comes from another industry, and it talks about how energy plays an important role. Sustainability has a very important pillar of energy, we all know, but how it transformed the city of Copenhagen, it will be a very interesting case for all of you to hear. So here, what we actually brought forward is a utility flexibility platform. Okay, it is a combination of IoT sensors, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and cloud all coming together. So what essentially we did was created a blockchain platform where we got the energy traders, aggregators, and consumers all onto that platform. And how it helped: two, three things. The consumer could actually save the energy and sell it in the market and get money. So this is how the consumer is benefiting from it. The trader and the aggregator was till date speculating as to how much energy would be required. But now, with this blockchain information and the data that they have collected and the AI that is put, which is giving them those analytical models in order to predict, they could actually come up with, they could actually know that what would be the demand, what are the peak demand times, how much energy would be required, how much energy at a given particular instance of time will be required, and what are the lull periods, which is why they could distribute the energy across, and the trading, instead of becoming speculative, actually became informed. So which is why, and this entire city now runs on renewables only, which is the biggest transformation I think any city could see, and which is what we need to make for our future generations. So I think I can go on and on with examples, but Costa, I think
Yeah,
you would take
correct.
time. So let's go to the next question.
Sure. So it's really wonderful to know all these examples, and just maybe a last conclusive question, which would be the one which you mentioned about the food wastage or the energy transformation and all. So how do you see it coming as an inclusive or a learning to Indonesia? And we all know that G20 for the next year is happening in Indonesia, very much in Bali. And I believe these would be some of the pointing questions which the leaders in Indonesia would be thinking upon in terms of, say, the food wastage or the renewable energy, and also maybe relating it to the COP27 as key takeaways. So, how do you see it as inclusive or next steps or a way forward towards G20 and COP27, COP27? Yeah.
Yeah, I think with COP26 that just concluded, so many different areas, platforms came out of that discussion, and we all are gunning towards making a COP27 much more powerful. And so glad that G20 is happening in Indonesia. And I think Indonesia is again one very important country and houses so many different things. And I'm sure from a sustainability angle, if I were to think, I think Unilever's palm oil actually is like a hub from Indonesia itself. And there is so much work that, in fact, companies like ours and Unilever together are doing in order to avoid any sort of deforestation, I think, which is very important for all of us. And that is something, and we are using some satellite monitoring techniques in order to make that happen. And we are trying to get away with those issues. So I think Indonesia would look at that as one very important area. The second thing, in my view, would be your transportation. I think moving to electric vehicles again would be one area which would be at the top priority. And I think there would be umpteen number of steps which would be taken in Indonesia to make it more inclusive and make it function in the best way forward, so that in the near future, and I don't want to name a year, and I'm sure the leaders of Indonesia will definitely put a year to it, where we would transform to be all electrical vehicles in a short period of time. So I think that would be a very big change that will come in from an environment perspective. Coming to energy, I think most of the countries today, and I don't know if you would have seen, so Singapore, for example, made a solar farm on water. So I think which was the biggest innovative thing that anybody could think of. Nobody, we have already always heard some bridges on rivers, some train tracks on rivers, but we never thought solar panels floating on rivers could be another thing. So I think in the same perspective, Indonesia would also look at renewable energies, a shift to renewable energies. And I think with the areas besides Indonesia, it makes it very strategic location, not only for Indonesia only, but for other countries and companies to come and establish themselves and take the benefit of what Indonesia as a country brings to table. So I really commend on Indonesia and the leadership at Indonesia, and in fact institutes like you who are making sustainability at such a high point agenda for each and everyone. And I wish and hope all the best in whatever they are doing. And I hope companies like ours, the technology companies, can push forward the agenda along with you.
Great. Thanks, Richa. Paiko and Paika have been listening patiently. So maybe a quick question from them and then we can conclude.
Sure.
Sure. Thank you very much for Ms. Richa. Very interesting experience and exposure of sustainability in any kind of business as well. You mentioned about agriculture, banks, and as well as city management on the power management, which is normally we talk about EV previously and what is the impact of those, and during our discussion we also touch on a little bit on our agriculture, because that is the biggest area in Indonesia that we might be able to do something about it. And I really hope that in the next session, CTSS, PAIKA, and Bu Dami can connect you with the people in Indonesia who are responsible for this area. I have a huge concern on the food sustainability. Yeah, we always have these issues when the farmers are having harvest together, and when they are about to sell their harvest, they can't really get a good price because everybody is harvesting, and it's always the case that when everybody don't have the crops, and the price goes up, and we have to import from somewhere else. So I believe that you have the system that manage the data. So it's a data that you analyze with IoT that you have that will help to, let's say, probably one area will have a harvest in which month, and the next another area harvesting in another month, and that can supplement each other. I really hope that this will work for us in Indonesia. Although I don't live in Indonesia, I live in Singapore, but I really hope this happening. Some of my friends are starting to do a small thing helping the farmers, but it doesn't really get a good result yet, because they are still scattering, doing one by one smaller activity to another activities. Yeah. So hopefully with what you have, your experience, that really can help us connect via CTSS and PAIKA. Yeah. So PAIKA, what do you think about that?
Well, I think first, Ms. Richa, what is your comment? Because I'm very interested in what you say, insight. So collecting data, analyzing, and getting the insight. So
yeah,
what do you think, Ms. Richa?
Yeah, so maybe I will just, and very good point, Echo and Eka. See, I am also a true believer. I think I come from India, right, which is again a land of agriculture. So for us also, farmers are as important, and I guess across the globe, because they are the ones who give us food. So I think very important, and which is why, in fact, IBM research also first put their hands into try and analyzing the soil quality to begin with, right? As to, and that also, incidentally, we are also learning as we are, doing as much experimenting that we are doing. So, but what we understood was that quality of soil is very important in order to understand when the things should be, when the seeds should be planted, and how less can we use pesticides and insecticides to have a more organic crop, right? So as you rightly said, so use of IoT sensors in some cases to protect it, and the research that we are doing in order to understand the soil quality and the data that we are collecting in order to see what would be the right time to sow, plant, and harvest. All these things put together are making life very simple, and which is where I talked about the digital farming platform. So currently, yeah, it took a lot of effort for us to make the farmers understand the importance of it, because everybody is so used to doing their own way that they're all reluctant to change. But I think it was an achievement, and we are still trying to add more and more farmers onto it and get the benefit. So I would be more than happy to have as many, and the best part is this is not a B2B kind of a thing. This platform is a B2C. So each and every farmer individually can embark upon it and get the benefits out of it, which will, in the whole gamut of things, position best. So I think that will be a very good starting point for anybody to leverage and take benefits from an agriculture perspective.
Yeah, very interesting. So, Faiko, does this answer your question?
Yes, but so it's very much what I would expect. Yeah. So you know very well, we are trying to do. We are trying to improve how the farmer's life. There are a lot of organizations doing that. Universities are doing that as well. It's just that we need to have a common understanding to do it together. This is what we always emphasize in this CTSS series that about sustainability and so on.
Yeah.
So very well, when we have Miss Richa now with us, and I think we can bring some more people to get together. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Maybe
So-
Faika would like to conclude, or maybe just summarize the key takeaways.
Yeah, actually, one point, a very interesting point is that when Ms. Richa said that we collect data, we analyze the data, and then we get insight. And this is just again reiterated by Echo. So this is I think this is one of the few keywords, many keywords that is there in our conversation today. But this is one of the most important keywords. And yeah, basically CTSS is under IPB. IPB is main focus is in agriculture and CTSS in sustainability. So we hope and we are trying to get collaboration with Ms. Richa in the real terms, and maybe we can share again in the spot. So I think that is a basic okay, and thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Richa, for your explanation and many expertise. Then for Pak Kostup and Pak Eko also. Thank you. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
we will
Thank
see
you
you
very
in the
much.
next
Thank you, Richa.
podcast.
Sure.